this component of our business and really drive that revenue line and change our business mix, which changes the value of the business. Secondarily, it's taking a look at, hey, what financial modeling are you doing? Because sometimes people actually are very successful. They move too quick and then they fall through the chasm because literally they're moving revenue too quickly from transactional to subscription on a monthly basis. And then we take a look at one of the biggest issues is sales model, sales compensation. About 96% of the folks that come onto our platform typically have a sales compensation plan that will not work for subscription sales. So it's a major impediment. And then obviously you have MSPs always struggling, and we've been through this within the PitchIT sessions. Marketing is ultra valuable for a community who doesn't believe a great deal in marketing. But when you start to move a lot of your business, you need a 7 to 10 times larger pipeline if you move 20-25% of your business to pure subscription. So you need to be thinking about all those things. And then lastly, where we spend quite a bit of time is looking at go-to-market motions. What are you going to do with your solution stack? How are you going to package it? What target market are you trying to hit? Why are you trying to hit them? What's the value there? And ultimately, how are you going to, price it correctly to get to your blended gross margin targets?
Interesting. So let me just ask a clarifying question. So is it a software tool, or is it literally more like a coaching package that we subscribe to, KloudReadiness?
So it can be all done, Adam, on demand. So we have an automated SaaS platform. Takes the average MSP about 40 minutes to get through the original assessment. Gives them a readiness dashboard that literally lays out a prioritized list on here are the top issues you have down to the smallest issue they might want to be aware of. And then, sometimes we will do some live or on-demand events, just as we're doing here. But people can easily come into our on-demand video library and basically tackle all of the high-level areas that most affect them to really get clarification. Because, one of the biggest things, we'll talk to somebody who's got a very successful business, and they're like, well, we got a great strategy. Well, you do, but not for this new game, right? And what are you doing to make those changes? And understand this is a different game. The same playbook doesn't work nearly as well in the subscription world if you're trying to really generate a large part of your business in subscription over time, ultimately to sell more and increase the value of the organization.
Nice. Now, does this help, knowing like the security piece? Is this security, or is it all cloud stuff, or is it not including any kind of security coaching or anything like that?
Yeah, we do get involved, where people have specific needs. They're trying to really get into a distinct business, but underlying most of it ultimately becomes with all of the security offerings really coming at us in a subscription and a consumption model. Somebody who doesn't have a subscription basis or foundation, they struggle trying to ramp that security business, right? And all the solid training in the world and the enablement that would come out of a vendor or ConnectWise or somebody else really doesn't help too much if the sales compensation plan isn't correct, right? And, you've got great salespeople, but they're unwilling to sell because they can't figure out how to make money in this new subscription model. So that's always, typically an issue.
I was like, where do we go, Adam? We're back. Okay, great. So
I'm on mute too. So sorry.
You're doing well. Don't worry, Adam. I got it covered. So what is the expectation? So it sounds like there's a couple of things here that I heard. One is that your offering works with MSPs first, right? Because they do their own assessment first, right? And also gives them the best, for lack of a better term, best practices of what they should do based off the gaps. And then they can also take that same tool and deliver it to their end user as well, or based off, and because I don't know, is this on the assumption that the MSP is providing their own stack to the client too, and then it's going to look at their stack and know what to give to the client? Or what about the people that don't use the full stack from an MSP?
Yeah, so it's twofold, and that's a great question, because typically it's, start to get your house in order and become, comfortable with subscription. But one of our largest objectives is to really help these people understand subscription so well that they can go out to their customers and show them how they might be able to create new revenue streams with subscription. And then especially as we build out here at CloudReadiness our own digital transformation stack, if you will, same model. assessment to begin with. What are the gaps? Where are you trying to go? What are you trying to do? And then help train folks up so they can actually understand, oh, I see exactly how I can monetize digital transformation, make it a valuable revenue stream. Oh, by the way, probably mostly subscription, and then take that out to my clients and get them digitally transformed to really start, hammering away at creating, new security fabric, new digital infrastructures, doing a lot more with IoT and a lot of the other emerging technologies that require you to understand, some of the digital concepts and being a digital athlete, as well as being, I'll just say, subscription friendly.
Sure. So you guys, as we progress, because first off, your cloud readiness. So in fact, cloud tells you it's an all-encompassing, ever-transforming world for you. And as we've seen all these new technologies launch over the course of the last couple of years, especially, because we can even use Microsoft, for example. Microsoft Teams, they moved their entire deliverable dates up a whole year because of COVID. Mm-hmm. Okay, good or bad or indifferent, it's what happened. And all of a sudden, people were scrambling trying to figure out how to best use this stuff. So reason where I'm going with this is this something you guys start to look at whenever you do this assessment and say you're missing these things? Are you also providing supporting enablement materials or something along the lines so I know how to market, sell it, launch it, monetize, whatever? Are you guys doing that stuff also?
Yeah, so we have in our current catalog today, we have about 100 artifacts, okay. And it goes all the way through how do you do economic modeling? What are scenarios, right? If 30% of our revenue was, in a very short time be able to move to subscription, what does that do to us? Does it hamstring us? Will it provide, the cash flow for growth, so on and so forth? Certainly the business, what we call the business tracker assessment platform, gives them a really good roadmap of where they need to start and what they need to hit on to get the most movement quickly. The proverbial, if you're only going to pull 3 levers, pull these 3, right? And that'll get you the furthest way down the track. Because at the end of it all, transformation at any level is about one thing, and it's being able to grab new business, be effective at it, and be able to sell at a velocity that makes it worth the investments of time, energy, and resource.
Absolutely. So would you consider your product, your offering to be like a sales enablement tool?
Certainly part of it is we do have a component that focuses on solution selling and, more of like, how do you actually take, especially things you may be unfamiliar with, or quite frankly, as a sales professional, unwilling to sell, and we teach them how to win. And by winning and basically thriving, i.e. making more money and having, higher earning potential, lead them through, a way to get, to the end, right? Which is ultimately to say, it's kind of funny, Sean, you step back. It's really all about saying, what's the client want? How do they want to consume it? And can I do it as an organization easily and make it, a good experience for my customer? That's all we're really trying to do.
Absolutely. That makes sense. I get it. And so this actually falls along the lines of this would tie into QBRs. So this also and by de facto tie into account management. It would also tie into the tech stack and the tech team themselves, because you have MSPs that sign on clients and then they're already under contract with certain softwares. Come the end of the year, when renewal is due, they can do the assessment then, right, at that point, and say, this is what we got to move you over to, or this is what we have to do, whatever that is. So it's applicable to many different stakeholders, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, some of the big things we talk about, especially in the sales realm, is how do you get those dialogues going across, different people within an organization? Because again, so much more of the technology buy is happening outside of IT, right? So how can you have relevant, impactful conversations, with the CFO, the head of sales, the head of marketing? If you've heard Jay McBain say a million times, the largest spend, and this directly from your past, right? Yes. The biggest net new spend is coming out of marketing, right? And so every MSP should be talking to the lead marketing person to see where they're spending technology dollars.
Agreed. Well, yes, that's absolutely spot on. The pecking order is like marketing, sales, and then whatever else.
Exactly.
Seriously. And it's funny because in the MSP world, it's flip-flopped. And that's a challenge they have already. So again, any way you can help them to grow their business just by doing their day-to-day, because just by doing their day-to-day practices, because what you're offering, it sounds like, again, back to QBRs, back to assessments. They're doing these things anyway to grow business when they do it. So you're just providing a complementary tool to facilitate.
Yeah, and especially when we come out with the digital transformation assessment and the tools associated with that, because that one has, doing subscription transformation is sort of an internal process, unless you're savvy enough to say, hey, I've learned enough and I can go teach my clients, right? Which, by the way, we absolutely foster. But certainly with digital transformation, that's something that MSPs can start really deriving revenue within a couple of months very easily, right? They have all the innate skills. It's not really a technology issue. It's just really defining, how will I define digital transformation? How do I talk to my clients about it? How do I get my clients to move on it? And how can I take them through a structure and a framework, right, where it makes sense and they're getting quick wins and benefits fairly soon.
Absolutely. So, okay, so let's talk about the actual logistics behind it with integrations. Mm-hmm. How does what you do match up to ConnectWise, integration-wise, and where do the users find work out of?
Yeah, so today we're on the marketplace, thanks to the folks in PitchIT and all you folks at ConnectWise. Really we see outside. It's kind of funny. I'm sort of watching how service leadership's evolving now that it's part of ConnectWise, because many times, right, Paul Dipple and that whole team, does a great job, with operational maturity and what do the ratios look like, and we do very, very similar things, but it's all about subscription and digital transformation, right? Yep. So ultimately, it becomes, really links in to, we're starting to make these moves. How is it showing up in pipeline, right? How is it showing up, in deal flow? Yep. And are our close rates going up in subscription, right? So as we take our customers, MSPs, and by the way, most of the buyers of KloudReadiness are either technology vendors or distributors trying to get a portion of their ecosystem moving in subscription. Right. So a lot of time and energy has been used and the sales numbers aren't changing. Right.
Right.
So, and, we obviously attack the systemic issues, try and get them going as quickly as possible. And ultimately, get them, a great client for us in the technology vendor or distributor is somebody who's willing to take their subscription from the low single digits up into the 25 to 40% of their overall business over time. Right. Right. And that's the way the world's moving. I mean, the subscription economy is just growing, in the high 17, 18 compound annual growth rate, where a lot of the traditional services that the MSPs provide are either negative growth or, small single digits.
Right. That makes sense. So now we're always trying to cure the working from one portal concept, right? Mm-hmm. And this could be something that ties into, for ConnectWise, manage and automate and sell, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we believe there's a tie-in almost across the whole stack, because we're looking literally to provide to the community the ability to change the business dynamics they have in certain areas, and obviously be able to move and see those changes somewhat quickly, which again manifests itself in sell. Right. Yep. Manifests itself in manage. If I can convince, a couple of hundred partners to dive into digital services and IoT, right? Yep. Because some of the impediments that are holding them back have nothing to do with technology. It's just they couldn't figure out that they weren't connecting with the right buyers, or they literally, had a sales compensation plan that was holding them back. Right. Right. Provided all the training, provided all the enablement. Everybody was psyched, and then they looked at the comp plan and said, I got other things to do. I can't make money doing it with my comp plan.
So how do you add to the comp plan in this case? What do I get the fact that you're teaching them how to transform over to a SaaS model, especially if they sold devices all their life, and you're showing them where the differences are, because this is long money as opposed to upfront money. So when it comes on the comp plan, are you doing it by showing them how the breakdown occurs, by saying, hey, you went from selling this for $50,000 one time and done to now it's $60,000 over 2 years. And with that said, here's your cost to doing business, or acquisition cost, let's just say, make it easy. Mm-hmm. And then you're adding on, this is what you have in differential that you can allocate for commissions, or
Yeah, exactly. So at the end of the day, just think oversimplify, but right, your cost of sale is your cost of sale, right?
Sure.
You can't go into a new business and then double or triple your cost of sale
Right.
for much longer than the initial launch, right?
Yeah.
Right. So at some point, you have to start to align things. So two fundamental mistakes we always see is, and it doesn't matter if you have 2 salespeople or 200, right? Is the company, the leadership team says, we're going all in, we're going to, drive subscription cloud, digital services. And then they try and pivot the whole sales force to go grab the opportunity, right? Biggest mistake we see, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Take a target team, right? Get them used to subscription, get the right comp plan attached to them so you're not screwing up your core revenue production, right? And get a target team out there, even if the target team's a party of one, right? And get them out there with the right comp plan, driving this business. And guess what? People see success, then the folks who didn't think it was such a great idea start to gravitate to it because they're starting to see the money.
Yep. Fair enough. And it comes down, and so you're essentially helping MSPs even understand how to build a sales model, a sales program, a comp plan, all the above from this
Marketing machine and everything, it looks like, from looking at the website, right?
Yep. Yeah. Because again, fundamentally, if you believe, as we do, technology is not the issue of people driving a great subscription business, right? It's number one, it's commitment, it's cultural change, right? The biggest thing, prior to the pandemic was me just convincing people it's worth the trip, right? Now, thank heavens, the world has helped me move that boulder, right? And now people are just trying to figure out, how do I actually create economic models internally, right? And have the right, fundamentals in place, so I'm not hamstringing myself every time I go to do a deal, or I'm not, people in my organization aren't out there selling things at low margin that we're trying to get away from, right? Because they're comfortable with it, that you're getting the right inertia and the right momentum in the right places, which, is a big challenge.
I think that's great, actually. I think it's fantastic because I think that's a struggle point. Actually, what Adam does for a living is the implementation of our products, right? And one thing that he's trying to fast track is getting them on and using it. Like he said in his opening statement of, we do all the hard work. So, and then so you can actually focus on your day-to-day instead of focus on this. And that's what so it sounds like you guys have some commonality there because you're both enabling at that point.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. Like you said, somebody coming into the ConnectWise world today and into the ecosystem, they need a guide like Adam, right? They need somebody who can say, hey, we've been through this. We've been off the road there. We've been, my head, if you could see me close enough, you'd see the scars on my face, right? I've bumped my head on these same walls enough times that, there's a better way. And hopefully, we can help people get to the right place a lot quicker than they would otherwise. And they get revenue productive quicker than they would without a guide.
Yep.
Yeah. Let me ask this question. So I always wonder how you start your business or what came in. Were you running an MSP business and just like struggled to adopt? Let's break it down real, because I just want to understand, this is a pretty cool business model, coaching, and how'd you get into it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was an MSP for a number of years. I've been in the industry since about 1982. Was part of an ownership team that sold an MSP about 7 years ago. I happened to jump in. There was a problem that was just bugging the crap out of me with tracking certification, back-end certification dollars, etc. I decided I could fix it. I created a SaaS company. That SaaS company sold to a company called Netformix. But I grew up and lived in the MSP world, basically for my whole adult life prior to the term MSP. I just fundamentally look at what are the things holding back, a significant group. And, are there ways we can come up with kind of good ideas, speed it up with technology? The biggest thing, we started out as a pure consultancy. It's sort of the way we're getting into digital transformation, right? Pure consulting. But the minute we saw the opportunity, the minute we validated the product market fit, we went to a SaaS platform, because then I could go up to any vendor and say, listen, if you can get me 2,000 partners tomorrow, I can have them assessed, but I can give you the results back tomorrow night, right? And, being able to do that scale, do more automation, do more with the data on the backside to literally validate and give people back. I mean, I can tell more about a partner who comes onto our platform in 40 minutes than typically a channel account manager can tell after being with that same partner for a year, right? And it's twofold. A, channel account managers are trying to create business every day with those partners. I'm trying to fundamentally fix the foundation so that the channel account manager can have more success, right? And stay focused on selling, not doing business transformation chores.
Yeah. So how long has Cloud Readiness? I forget if I missed this. How long was Cloud Readiness? How long you been doing it?
We 5 years, but 3 of those 5 years we were basically a pure consultancy. 2 of those years we've been much more technology based with the SaaS platform, the online learning platform, and our content array.
Wait, Sean?
Oh no, I was letting you run with it because I thought you had some good questions there.
Yeah, I'm just a curiosity guy. So, because I'm always curious of how businesses get started. And it's usually solving a problem within their own MSP business, right? Same thing with Sierra Pacific Group, and starting with a problem and just like, okay, well, I had this problem in my MSP business, and now I went and solved it. So it's kind of cool hearing those different stories.
Well, I think it's I like what you said, George. I was in MSP space before they called it MSP. I don't even know if they still call it MSP. It's still debatable. It's depending on who you ask.
Right.
Some say, yep, we're an MSP. Some are like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, no, we're an IT provider. We're an IT consultant. We're a project company. And I think probably one thing I would think would be important for your space is them to identify with what they are to take full advantage of what you're offering.
Yeah, I mean, because I can tell you certainly when many people will let us know what they are, and typically our platform tells us they're not who they said they were, right? and we can see, you take a look at, even though we can't view it directly through our platform, we never look at a partner's actual number. We're not seeing the actual EBITDA, the revenue run rate, the GP, right? They'll put it in, and to us, it will come out, hey, this group's product centric, or it's product centric, but services emerging, or it's a hybrid, whatever the case.
Sure.
Right. But in those cases, what you would typically find, just say Cisco brings us, 200 partners, and these are great MSPs. We just recruited them. We're looking to get them, cloud enabled. We're looking to do more with lifecycle services, so on and so forth. Right. And we have to report back after the assessment. Hey, most of these people aren't MSPs. so your recruiting efforts didn't really pull in who you thought you would, right? And so you have a lot longer trail to turn these people into productive revenue producers.
So you're actually tracking all this with them, so they know, so to make sure I identify the right audience. And
yeah, exactly. Because one of the biggest thing, we can initially through the assessment, which is only a 40-minute investment. And by the way, if somebody coming into a program won't take a 40-minute assessment, right, they've kind of given you, the vendor, a lot of information, right? They won't invest 40 minutes
right.
in their own business, right?
Yep.
So, we use that as kind of the first, like, out of the gate, if you bring us 300 partners and 150 won't take it, you've just come to a great conclusion at very little money, right?
Right.
It's not time to invest in those people, right? So, but essentially we assess, we analyze automatically through the platform. And then one of the biggest things we do is segment those partners into groups. So we can say, in the short term, the next 3-5 months, these are the people to focus on. They're the closest to being very productive and not pulling you down with needs because they don't know how to actually transact subscription.
Got it. So you've been doing this for some time. You already have MSPs that are using this today?
Yeah, we probably had about 400 MSPs, maybe a little higher than that. We might be up over 500 that have done this.
Awesome.
And have some really good, cohorts in the sense that, we've seen what works, we've seen what doesn't, it's like anything. We try and provide the best advice and prescriptions we can and tools. And then, if you have an interested party who really wants to become a subscription business, it works quite well.
Sure. So yeah. So what's the ROI somebody should expect from working with you all?
So literally, a vendor, let's say a vendor is a sponsor or distributor, doesn't really matter. Whoever the sponsor is, they're usually going to see a 5x return in literally the first 8 months based on how they were getting these partners ready prior to bringing in KloudReadiness, right?
Okay.
Because again, a typical enablement program looks at sales, engineering, and marketing, right? And doesn't fix any fundamental business problems.
Right. Yes. Agreed.
So we've seen really large accelerations by, I'll say, removing the inhibitors that the vendors weren't working on or the distributors weren't working on.
Sure. Okay. And so that's from the vendor perspective, you said, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What about MSPs? What should they be looking for?
So an average MSP, usually we can get them productive within 4 or 5 months. Like, in other words, creatable, sustainable, replicatable business on a monthly basis, right?
Okay,
and something that's growing month over month, right? Now, again, which technology stacks and what their strategy might be, we work with them on it, but they make those choices, right?
Sure.
Certainly we'll give my, I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. I'm doing a program with CompTIA right now. And I mean, I must have said 1,000 times to 5 different groups, if you don't have a security practice at this point, you are missing the boat. It's sailing away, right? Jump on, get going, right? You got to move the needle. And I don't care if it's subscription or not, right?
Right.
Get into that game, right? How often does the market totally drive the biggest catalyst we've probably seen in 30 years?
Right. No, agreed. I mean, it's actually, I feel like this was like the gold rush for digital, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this was the gold rush for MSPs. Anything cloud, this is the gold rush. If you didn't take advantage of it, you were foolish. But I also, as you saw, there was a huge emergence of companies of every type that came out of this. I mean, and you saw tons of shortages in hardware. So the one thing I can say about cloud is there's never a shortage in cloud. It just keeps going. So that's a big deal. So, and this comes back to even me using a telco example, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you needed devices and you're using 3CX and it requires a device, if they were out of it, they were out of it. And guess what you weren't doing? You weren't providing service.
Yeah. Yeah. And imagine this, right? The telco agents have the right business model and have shied away because of the technology mountain they have to climb. And MSPs had the wrong business model, but all the technology skills.
Exactly.
Right.
They should work. Well, I mean, okay. So back to another emergence. What I've seen is a lot of copier and printer companies become MSPs because they're one and the same. They got the business model. They understand how to grow, but they don't have the technology now. They have to go into the technology. They have to leave. I have a gentleman out of New York that I'm friends with. He's now an MSP, was a printer copier guy in Manhattan. He estimated he lost 60% of his revenue year over year because of COVID, because nobody was printing things anymore. Yep. 60%. So he had to make a quick shift to becoming a VoIP provider, an MSP, all that stuff. So you're seeing it very commonly, and they already have the practices on sales and marketing. They just don't know what they're working with the stack for their stack. They don't know how to. And so I saw several acquisitions. I saw more than several. I saw lots of acquisitions from companies like that buying MSPs and just basically hiring them on as their tech team.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of funny you say that because in 1982, I started with Minolta in the photocopier space, right? Spent 2 years doing that. And by the way, learned all about subscription and consumption, right?
Yep.
Copies by the sheet, right? I mean, great,
yep.
A great business model way back in the day. Went to digital equipment and learned some other stuff, and then finally got into the channel, sometime in the early 90s. But as you said, the great thing about subscription consumption models is if you have a selling engine, you can jump in tomorrow, right? And you can start creating really good business with really thick margins as you build out, your skills and the technology people sort of ramp up on what they need to ramp up on.
Absolutely. Adam, you gonna say something?
No, I mean, this is just, it's really intriguing. And so with this particular program, I'm looking on your website, by the way, anybody click on the link down below. There is, and I also messaged it out to all the various social platforms. There's an accelerator program. Looks like that accelerator program is like a 4-week process, 4-step for success.
Yep. Yeah. So we took, because like all things in life, right? The vendors, the distributors, the MSPs themselves, they want to sign up today and be totally successful by tomorrow, right? And this is a little longer journey, but we heard our customers loud and clear. So we created up a 4-week program, go after the literally, assess, understand what the real problems are, but go after 4 distinct issues, eradicate them in a very short period of time, and quite frankly, get to business growth and start to build out that revenue stream.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty slick. Any closing thoughts? I know we're hitting in that 40-minute mark. So any closing thoughts, George?
I think the only thing I'll close with is we're pretty excited about the digital transformation area we're going to add, because again, it's some subscription sometimes can take a fairly long time. Some people, depending on how aggressive they are, can take them 8 to 12 months, right? Nobody can wait that long to not generate revenue. So the digital transformation area we're very high on. We think we can get MSPs producing revenue after less than 2 months. And we think that we can get them dealing in areas across the clients that they had never dealt with in the past. Again, opening up more doors to drive their core business.
Nice. I like it. Sean.
You kind of stole my thunder there, George, because that was my takeaway. Mine's the fact of the 2 months piece. That's you to regulate that piece.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I would say that it's so we know if you look at every organization, especially in the MSP space and being around it, it's a huge struggle for creating awareness, demand generation, and sales. Right. The identifying factors that you always see, and this comes back to what you mentioned even about the SLI for Sleek, is identifying where you are, what you belong in, what you should be doing at your level, at your maturity level, right? That's another thing. And one thing I know I've seen over the years is they don't, when they say, hey, I'm going to hire a salesperson, I love that conversation. Because I always say, to do what? And they're like, sell stuff. Okay, great. So they're going to close the deals? Oh no, I'm going to close the deals. Okay, so they're not selling, right? Well, yeah, they're going to what? Oh, they're gonna schedule your appointments. So they're an SDR qualifier, right? Yeah. Okay, good. So do you have a lot of leads? No, they have to go get their leads. Okay, so they're also a BDR and marketing. Okay, and I think that's a huge gap in that right there. So just on that alone, and especially because marketing, sales, and biz dev is my world, I love it. I think it's important. I think the business should be based off of how we go out to the frontier together, and that starts usually the trailblazers, usually sales. Because they're the ones that had the first number, So I love that. I love that concept. I think that this affects many different stakeholders. I think that's a big deal. I think it's something that should be acknowledged between sales, marketing, tech, even CFO in some degree. So I think it's really good, and I think it's important that 2 month ramp up to get them in production and them seeing results. I think that's the biggest takeaway for me. Because velocity is crucial. It is key. That's what Adam makes his business off of, is that velocity. That's the point, is get them in where they belong, get them out of where they don't.
Yeah, perfect way to put it, because like you said, this is all about business growth and doing it profitably, right? And the faster, the better.
That's right, Adam. I said it perfectly.
Just took another piece of thunder out of me. So it's like, where do I go from here? So George, it's been a pleasure having you. Be sure and check out cloudreadiness.com for getting your MSP business adopted to the cloud. And Sean, it's been a pleasure. Another great show we host, and we're just past halfway mark, I think.
Yes, we are. We're over halfway. We wrapped up. We're over halfway right now. Yes.
Yes, we're now halfway. And so we're going to be doing another live this Thursday at 12 Pacific and 3 p.m. Eastern. And then it goes into crazy. I think we only have one more week of normal. Then it's going to August, where we're doing it from the road.
Every week.
Busy.
Every week is on the road in August. My life is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be
fun. My girlfriend's going to hate my guts in August.
Well, it's definitely been a pleasure. Appreciate it, guys. Just check out our Facebook communities. If you're watching this live, comment, ask questions on our streams. We'll be sure and get back with you. Check us out on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, ConnectWise Tips and Tricks, and CW Boss communities. With that, peace out. Enjoy your rest of your week, and see you guys on Thursday.